Hello, New Hampshire. You've gone through a long day and you do it for a reason, because for the sake of our nation, for the sake of our nation standing in the world, and for the sake of the America that we're going to pass on that next generation, we gather to make sure that Donald Trump's a one-term president. You know, it's more than just that, though. It's soundly rejecting this behavior that he's normalizing. The lies and the misstatements, those Twitter tirades, the dividing us by race, by gender, by geography. We now expect more out of our preschoolers than we do the President of the United States. It's certainly about rejecting him, but it's also about embracing decency, embracing a government that can actually work for the people that it represents. The belief that the American dream is not dead, that it can be restored, so everyone could have that fair shot to succeed. As Democrats, we win when we offer something better, when we show up, when we listen, when we focus on the challenges of everyday Americans. Look, I was raised in a single-parent household, paycheck to paycheck. Only knew there was a governor's house in town because I delivered newspapers to it as a kid. So I've made it 4 blocks in life. But you know what? I worked my way through college. I borrowed my way through law school. I'll never forget that day that my wife and I wrote that last check to pay off $175,000 in student debt. When I was a boy, 90% of 30-year-olds were doing better than their parents were at age 30. Today, it's half. 60% of Americans haven't had a pay increase in real terms in 40 years. 2/3 of our counties have actually lost businesses over the last decade. Now, when you go from delivering the newspapers to the governor's house to now us raising our 3 kids in it, I had a shot at that American dream. But for far too many people of color, that dream's been denied. For far too many women, millennials struggling with debt, that dream's been deferred. For far too many immigrants, that dream has been derailed. For far too many farmers, factory workers, shopkeepers, those with only a high school degree, that American dream has been destroyed. I do believe in an America where actually everybody has a fair shot to do better than their parents. That's what we've always sought. And we can guarantee accessible, affordable health care to every single American. We can send every child to a quality public school so she can meet her God-given potential. We can save this precious planet while creating good green jobs along the way. We can make that burden of student debt more bearable without actually taking our eye off the ball that almost 70% of Americans have no college degree. And we can finally clean up that cesspool of money and influence in Washington, D.C. First things first. To make real progress, this is a single-issue election. And that single issue is beating Donald Trump. Let's talk about how we could actually do that together. 2016, I was the only Democrat in the country to win a statewide re-elect in a state where Trump won. He took Montana by 20 points. I won by 4. 25 to 30% of my voters voted for Donald Trump. At the core, this election's about math. We have to get to 270 electoral votes. I figured the Yang Gang would like that. Look, and you know what? The path to victory, it's not just through our coasts. It's not through our urban areas. It includes places that we lost last election. Almost 1/3 of your counties voted Obama, Obama, Trump. This election's about taking the White House, but it's also about making sure that you can take back your state house. I'd be real skeptical if I were you of politicians making promises. Here's one you can take to the bank. If I'm the nominee, I'm going to carry Vermont, Massachusetts, California, New York. Let's make sure that those senators from those states also can make sure that they can take places like Montana, New Hampshire, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I do believe that I'm the best candidate to actually carry our message to every part of the country. I refuse to cede the votes of rural Americans, as the folks that actually work the land, feed the world, pass a plate on Sunday, are forever going to be wedded to a New York con man with orange hair and a gold toilet. I am a pro-choice, pro-union, populist Democrat that won 3 times in a red state, not by compromising our values, but by getting stuff done. And at the core of that word called progressive is the word progress. I'd actually take my record of making progress in people's lives against anyone. My legislature's about 60% majority Republican. But yeah, we've expanded mental health care and Medicaid all across our state. We've controlled costs. We've made record investments in our public education system, and we've kept it public. We've frozen college tuition. We've kicked dark money out of our elections, all the while never once compromising on a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. And as a former union-side labor lawyer, all the once never compromising on workers' right to organize and collectively bargain. I guess I'm the only governor left in this race, and it kind of appears that I might have got in too late to play the DNC debate game. Last spring, instead of being chasing donors, I was working with our Republican legislature to save health care for 100,000 people. We got it done. I signed my last bill on a Monday, and I announced on a Tuesday. I have no doubt that the DNC means well, but if we're really the party of the people, it's a rough state of affairs when the National Democratic Party values chasing those campaign donors more than helping save people's lives. That's not how you lead, and that's not how you win an election, and that's not how you make things better for American families. We win this election by making sure that everybody has a fair shot at a better life. And you know what? That's only possible if we take on the toxic influence of money in this system. In this post-Citizens United world where money equals speech and where corporations have the same rights as people, until we tackle that the rules are now written for those with the biggest checkbooks, all these promises and plans you've heard today may be just about talk. And as Democrats, part of the problem is we've talked about this problem for too long. Because in DC, talking has become the substitute for doing. As governor, I worked with my legislature, which is about 2/3 Republican at the time. We passed one of the most progressive disclosure laws in the country. We said 90 days out, I don't care if you call yourself Americans for America for America. You have to disclose every nickel you're paying. I'll never forget running for re-election in 2016. Koch brothers bombed our state all over. But then on day 90, it stopped. And if we could kick the Koch brothers out of Montana, we could kick them out of New Hampshire, we could kick them out of DC, we could kick them out of everywhere in this country. Because it's not just Donald Trump on the ballot. Indeed, the American dream is on the ballot. We have significant problems in this nation. Remember how united the country actually felt in those days after 9/11. We need that same kind of purpose, compassion, and unity to come together, to bridge the deep divisions, solve that greatest challenge of our time. And that's making promise and opportunity available to all Americans. If we're going to meet that challenge, we need to focus on actually what we share in common, not what divides us. The presidency was ably described by Barack Obama, not as a revolution, but it's that relay race requiring each of us to do our part to bring the country closer to its highest aspirations. My solemn vow, when I take that oath of office, will be to preserve, protect, and defend, yes, the Constitution, but also that American dream to assure that every person in this country, no matter who their parents are, where they're from, has that shot at a better life. That's why I'm doing this. There are 157 days between now and when you guys all vote. Help me make the best out of every one of those 157 days. Thanks so much, New Hampshire. Thanks for doing everything that you do to make a difference here.